Okay, we're going to update precious metals here Friday. I guess now it's officially April 30th. But we have a full April candle now, a full weekly candle. And so we'll start with gold daily cycle. We did get a swing low today, but you can see, I'll zoom in here. We got all the way up to 1919 and then we closed below 1900. So pretty big pullback. Still below the 10-day moving average. So it's unclear if this was an early daily cycle low. Possible that it was. Looking at the weekly cycle, we're on week 19. We had our top on week 12. Important to note, the entire market is moving into a weekly cycle. You can see in the description I have the video about that broader market decline. So that is likely going to pull everything down with it. Now we may get, gold may get some kind of safe haven bid potentially. Who knows? But then you look at the monthly chart. We did get an undercut low below last month's low. It looks like we're just going to get consolidation, going into the May candle. Again, totally possible gold could get a little safe haven bid, but we'll have to see. And then if we go to silver, silver's not looking great. And so again, I think that's your difference where gold might get a little safe haven bid, whereas silver is just going to get taken out to the woodshed. So silver is on day 21, and I mean, look at this just waterfall decline. So it's probably pretty obvious this is a failed daily cycle, right? When you get this kind of waterfall decline, that's a failed daily cycle. Why? Because this was your last daily cycle low here, right? This cycle lasted 38 days. So it started here, had our high on day 23, had our low on day 38. We then came up, had our high on day 13. Now we're on day 23, 21. A cycle like this, with this kind of waterfall decline, I could see a world where this is going to be a left translated cycle, which means this would have to be at least 26 trading days, right? So 27 would make it left translated officially. We probably get a low below this here at this point. But who knows? This could be exactly the point where it fakes people out. The weekly chart, incredibly ominous. So we had our high on week 6. Previous cycle topped out on week 7. Previous cycle topped out on week 7. So the last 3 cycles, including this one, have topped out on week 6, 7, and week 7. I mean, and remember that the previous 2 cycles were 27. The previous cycles was 18 weeks. The one before that was 26, and the one before that was 27. So you're talking about just real dead money for a really long time, where you make your high on week 7, and then you decline for like 20 weeks. Then you get a rally, and the same thing happens again. You decline. Well, in this case, you decline for a little bit less. But, I mean, it's been tough sledding. And at week 13, maybe we get like a capitulation low like at COVID, right? That was a really short cycle because we had that waterfall decline. We could be setting up for that right here. That could be our rocket shot, right? We make a big drop down here and then we kind of rocket shot out. I think the message though is if you're not long, just get out of the way, right? Probably, I don't know, probably too late to get short here. You probably wait for a bounce at this point, as stretched as it is. I mean, the monthly chart not looking so hot. I'll zoom in here really quickly. Of course, this candle is closed. We closed on the lows. Looks like we're going to make fresh lows, and we're going to kind of sweep this area right here, right? This is the area we want to watch, that 2150. We look destined for a trip there. And the yearly chart, I'll take off the drawings, is not looking so great. We're flirting with a yearly low. And I talked about this in my video where the IWM has already made a yearly swing low. So this is on the verge of doing something similar. Not a good look by any means. We'll switch over to GDX, the miners. So this looks incredibly similar to the uranium chart, where it looked like we had a swing low and now we're flirting with breaking it. We haven't officially broken it, but it looks pretty, very, very likely that we will. So this is probably still day 32. The daily cycle is still kind of rolling on. Our high was on day 23. we have this gap area here, right? Like this area of interest, right? We could still see a bounce up to that 3671 area and then come down. And I'll show you the weekly chart really tells you the picture. Again, very similar to uranium. We had our weekly swing high on week 12 last week. We had a gap down, right? If I zoom in here, we had a gap down open, right? How do I know that? Well, because this is a weekly candle, right? And this opened here. We came up here, tried to fill the gap, didn't quite get there, right? Like our gap is like right there at 3671. So we all, and then we failed down. And so this is only week 13. You can see here weekly cycles generally last in more of like the 20-25 week range. So again, just like the broader market, I think we have a long way to fall. It is always possible that we get a really dramatic drop like this one, right? This one dropped us into a ICL on week 18. So, that is certainly a possibility. And I'll look at platinum really quickly. Haven't looked at that in a while, so this count might be a little off. I mean, this just looks. We'll look at the higher time frames just to kind of prioritize. So there was a point where this looked like it was good for a swing low to give us. I mean, it was a swing low at one point to give us our weekly cycle low. That has since failed. Possible that this was our weekly cycle low, but with the broader market going into decline, I don't know. That seems unlikely to me. It is also possible that this was a weekly cycle low, and we're now moving into a new weekly cycle that has failed. Um, we'll take a quick look at palladium. We made a new all-time high not too long ago, and so that to me is very indicative of a false breakout. So I think we go much lower here. And finally, I'll pop over to the dollar. I think it's important to watch where this is going. Incredibly important. So if we look at the daily chart, so yeah, I haven't updated this count. So excuse me, bear with me 1 second here. So today is day 22. So this is day 21. So we have our high on day 21 so far. So if I'll zoom in, right, these details are important. At one point, we had made a low below the previous day's low, which gave us which gave us a swing high, right? At one point, we were below this level here. You can see we've since recovered, right? Like, so it's possible that this is our daily cycle high, and we're going to start to, roll over into the daily cycle low. But with this recovery, it's also possible that this is just another kind of fake out. You can see the last daily cycle topped out on day 21 as well, so it could be just a coincidence that it's the same day. If we look at the weekly chart, this is week 15, so it's not even that late in the weekly cycle. You can see, you easily have weekly cycles that end on 17, 19, 23 even, especially when it's in a bullish cycle. This was a blow off, ended on week 2. This is obviously not looking awesome, this upper wick. And so it is possible that this is our top here. Entirely possible. We'll have to see. But I'll switch over to the monthly chart. Important to keep in mind. So it just so happens that we're also in now. This was week 15, and we also just so happen to be on month 15 of the 3-year cycle. And so that 3-year cycle started in January of last year, right? And so this is month 15. And so you can see how they're annotated here. The last 3-year cycle had a high on month 25, right? And then it had its low on month 35. Because it's a 3-year cycle, it'll generally be 36 months. Now, it's not always going to work like that on clockwork, right? You can see these were shorter ones. This was 36 right on the dot. This was a little bit longer at 38. This was much longer at 39, much longer at 42, shorter at 27. So who knows? But the point is, if you're going to have a 36-month cycle, you're going to have the high at some point, right? Like if it's really, really bullish, maybe you have the high on month 33, right? And so you have a decline of 3 months for a 36-month cycle. To decline for only 3 months would be incredibly bullish, right? A good example of something kind of sort of like that is this 27-month cycle. Topped out on month 24, just declined for 3 months, and it was over. This one was incredibly bullish. So we had a 42-month cycle. This whole thing here rallied for 40 months before declining. And this was a huge, pretty dramatic decline. So it almost kind of made up for it. The decline made up for the fact that like the magnitude of the decline made up for its sort of length, I guess you could say. But if you kind of look at this, this is setting up for a massive pullback. And you can argue we've just hit double top resistance. And so if this isn't the top, whenever we get it, we're going to get a massive pullback. It's going to be a multi-month pullback, which should ignite a fire under most, hard assets. Precious metals theoretically should also juice crypto as well. So this is important to watch. This monthly chart, again, this is a clean, or I should say, this is a complete monthly candle now. So we're gonna have a new candle in May, month 16, and we're gonna have to see, right? Like, do we continue to get follow through? Do we get a little consolidation here? Again, knowing that we're getting later in that daily cycle, and you can argue we're in the middle of the weekly cycle, not super late at this point, but also not early at week 15 or next week starts week 16. So very important chart to watch here.